Hello, everybody. This is Peter Palmiotti, and this is Comics and Art, episode 29, where we have a mystery guest who hasn't showed up yet. So, I'll just start the show, and when he shows up, we'll get him in here. So, how is everybody? You're working on your comic and art this morning? What's going on? What's the blinking? So, I want it all, as they say. And this is so true of a lot of comic book artists and writers and creators. Very true of myself. And let's see. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? All right, that's black. That's not. Okay. It's always good to look at what you're doing. I am eating up. Okay. One day I'll get this glare off. Gosh darn it. Well, that's to do for now. All right, so Chuck Pineau will be my guest today. But if not, if an emergency or some other situation arose, I'll have him on again at a later date, because the show must go on. I have a schedule for today, and it's best that do this now. Let's see. Okay, we'll get to that. What the hey, man? Okay. Bits falling off my brush. So yeah, not everything goes as planned, but work must happen. I must make some progress on my retro comic. Hey Adam, how you doing this morning? Adam Lower, working on his comic. So yeah, I was just thinking the other day, and so much I'm handling currently, and so much I want to do, and definitely life is always interrupting, but I think this month I'll be getting into my flow better, and I'll be able to tackle a lot more. Of course, I had some issues with my second day job, and I'll be getting back to that next week. The people who I'm working for got a case of stomach flu, and it should be better, and I should be able to get back to work there. Yeah, next week. Adam's doing all right. How are you? I'm good. You look great. Thanks. Yeah, so that definitely puts a hitch in my schedule, and because I always seem to work by the skin of my teeth a lot of the times, and every little setback definitely screws up my schedule. But I hope to get on top of that so that sort of thing becomes less of an issue. I'm working on improving the business side of what I do. Also, definitely want streaming more here and working to grow my channel. Hope to get up to 1,000 subscribers. In part so that I have a bigger audience, potentially. Not everybody who subscribes watches your stuff. I'm definitely subscribed to lots of people. And I can only watch or listen to so many. I should have had breakfast earlier. My stomach is talking to me. But I been tweaking my apartment, and I got some stuff that probably won't be able to do until next week. I got currently an issue with space. I need more space. I actually got rid of my kitchen table. Was it last week? Because I don't really use it. I eat at my desk a lot of times. Since it's just me, I don't need a all-out kitchen or dining room or whatever. And since my TV / everything else is my PC, that is where I eat. So yeah, there's a few things I want to do. Move around a couple of things, and I have it's like a tiny arena for my cats. And I want to get a bird cage. And I think that will work better to give them a space to hang out while I work. Because I can't have them roaming around. And the arena is too big. It's in the kitchen currently. I think it's probably 4 cats. I borrowed it from the sanctuary where my other 2 cats are. I know this is this is fascinating news to anybody who will watch this later. But yeah. I'm always looking to improve things, and definitely I want to be tackling a lot more project-wise, because I got multiple things going on, and I feel like the only thing I'm on top of currently is retro, and even that, I feel like my progress is slow. So I'll be working on improving all that. And, I posted original artwork I had for sale. It's been a little while, but working towards getting my store back up and running. Post artwork there, but also possibly on eBay. The problem with eBay is instead of hold your money until people get packages, and it's a delay currently I can't afford. Although I think I'm with Store Envy. I think they changed from the format they used to be, which was if you got paid, you got paid instantaneously. I think there's a delay there too. But that's why I post on Facebook, because then I can say, hey, you want to buy it? Send it to my PayPal, and I ship it out. Chuck, where are you? Chuck. Let's see, I hope this doesn't ruin. It's funny, in the last episode, I tried to share out a Kickstarter page, and we got all sorts of delayed. There's a good possibility it might not appear today. So it just might be me rambling, which is fine. Just want to check quickly. I wish my internet / PC were more powerful. No, don't seem to be. Getting a message from him. That's okay. I'll have him on again. Excuse me while the page loads and I wait. Gotta improve the speed on my PC too. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I got a feeling that he's either unavailable or sleeping late, so we'll have to have him on another time. Chuck is one of the moderators of my creator-owned group. If you're not a member of my creator-owned group and you make comics, feel free to join. Make sure you answer the questions. The link for the group and also the YouTube channel are in the video description box. The reason for the questions of the Facebook group is I've gotten a lot of robots that want to join. I want to make sure that it's humans that join the group. Kind of a weird thing, but it happens. It happens. And all right, so before I get into a bunch of stuff, but What else is important? Well, I'll say up front, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I'm slowly growing. Yeah, I'm trying to hit 1,000, so I could become part of the YouTube program again, so I can monetize my videos. But I really, I mean, ultimately, I really like to hit 10,000, 100,000. It's quite possible. Currently not doing edited videos. But if I hit 1,000, I will. More focused tutorials, perhaps. Because I love editing. I just ran into problems with programs I was using. Became more pain in the ass than it was worth at the time. It's definitely much easier to just come on and stream and work on my project Retro. Also, I will be working on improving the quality of what you see here. I'm so jealous of other other artists that do videos and or stream, and it's just a much better picture that they get. So that goes with me working on the apartment, improving a little bit of everything around here, which is always an ongoing thing. So I will more than likely actually be doing kind of a sleepover tonight. My friend Lisa, she's currently, like, her family lives together, and because her mom's getting old, getting up there, and really need somebody to keep an eye on her and make sure she's taking her pills and all that. So Lisa's mostly in charge of that, but her brother's going on a trip with his girlfriend, and it's the first time in a long time she'll be on her own. So we're gonna hang out, watch movies, cook, have fun, hang out with her cats. It's been a while since we did that. I used to be engaged to the gal. We're just best friends right now. So that'll be fun. It's not really anything new that Lisa or I haven't already watched, but we love movies, so we'll find some. So yeah, it's like there's so much I want to do. Is obviously the paid projects I'm working on is Retro, which takes top priority. There's other commission work, and depending on how things go over the next few weeks is if I do any more side gigs. I really don't want to, but I do need an influx of money, so either the day job really covers everything, goes better going forward, or I take on a couple of little things here and there. But I just really ultimately just want to focus on finishing a lot of little projects and whatnot. I got a bunch of short stories I want to jump onto. If I didn't already mention, I got a Patreon page and been dying to do a web comic for that. I was going to wait till I got to a certain goal, but with Patreons, but I think I've been mentioning it for years now, and it's probably just time to start. Mind you, it won't be going at a breakneck speed, but at least I could start developing it. So let's see. You can kind of see, this is what you're looking at is blue lines. You can't really tell in the video. Kind of looks like pencils, but this is blue lines that I'm inking over. This is one of the original off pages that was lost. But anyway, this is an Asian character that I created for retro, sort of a confidant and informer. I loved Shang-Chi growing up, and I wanted somebody that retro would connect with every now and then, and also is a little bit of a fighter himself that maybe will have a solo story with at some point down the line. It's always, I love like the heroes' secondary characters and how they can really sometimes take over the story and have their own story, within the book. And this will be one of those guys. I mentioned it before. It's like I loved like in Daredevil back in the day when Frank Miller was doing it. He had this sort of random character that showed up every now and then. That was actually in the Netflix series. And now I'm forgetting his name. What the hell was it? Something with a T. It's like this second-rate. I wouldn't even call him villain, just bad guy. But he wasn't really highly successful at anything. More often than not, was just be getting into trouble. My Asian character, who I'm not it's he has a name, but I'm not sure if I might change it. Coming up with character names it's not tough. It's like I really want great names though. It's harder to come up with a name that really sticks and speaks to the character. It doesn't necessarily have to speak to the character, but yeah. Like Shang-Chi is, I don't know if anybody was ever named Shang-Chi before Shang-Chi. That's a great name. And you know off the bat he's Asian. Now, one of the things I watched recently was Umbrella Academy season 2. And they have an Asian character, and his name is Ben. Not sure if he has a last name. Ben Lau, maybe? I'm not sure if I started somewhere. But that could be just a white guy from the Midwest, too. Oh my goodness.
Hey, what's up? So buddy.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm all right, man. I am not used to getting up early in the morning anymore. Let me tell you. Woo.
Yeah, kind of like with the state of the world. I know my sleeping schedule and getting up schedule has changed.
Oh,
I used to be pretty rigid, but it's completely open now.
I know, right? Yeah. I mean, I set my alarm. That's the first time I've set my alarm in almost a year. And then, bam. Whew.
No worries.
Yeah, sorry about that. So what are we working on right now?
This is retro.
All right, yeah. I ordered myself a copy.
And you'll get it. However late I am, but
I have no doubt. What page are we on?
This is page 10, but I'm doing I've just been inking figures of late, so I'm jumping around a little bit. So like there's definitely the first 6 pages are finished, and a bunch of random pages.
Cool.
So so I'm not stressing about the tiniest details during a stream. It's easier just to randomly ink stuff.
Yeah, I feel you there.
So how are you? How you been lately? We haven't talked in a little while.
Yeah, I know, right? It has been a while. I've been good. It's funny during all of this stuff, whereas most people, and I don't know about you, but like for most people, it's like, it's been fairly negative experience for the comic world. But for me as a freelancer, I've actually been a lot busier.
Right.
And yeah, it's mostly just because people are starting up a lot of projects and trying to get things going, and they're all like, "Oh man, I got a lot more time, so I'm trying to make things happen." So it's just for work and whatnot, it's been good for me.
That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's like for me, I've been talking about it. It's like I got a day job recently. Because I had like a sweet gig that fell apart because the guy didn't have money once the pandemic hit. And I had a couple of things like that happen in the last couple of months, and so I was like falling behind on this and that and the other thing, and I got a day job, then I got a second day job because I got a better deal. And then that sort of halted because they got some drama, and then they got the stomach flu, and so I go back next week. But yeah, so it's been challenging.
Right, I
Um,
bet.
but it's all good. It's like I mean, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. I'm still working. Um, and it will get easier once again, and hopefully we can all get past this crap.
Yeah, right. Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
But good to hear that work is flowing good for you. And you want to talk about like stuff that's already out. Like you just been working on a mess of books. Let's go back a year. Like what were you doing a
I
year
know,
ago?
right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, a year ago, a year ago at this point, I had just funded the first Belial. I had some shows coming up, which is not a normal thing right now.
Right.
um, things were pretty good, busy. I didn't talk about it last year, but um, last year I was actually in a really deep depression. Like I really had a rough go of things. Things were going well, but for me, I just had such a hard time kind of getting things done. And I, the insane thing is, I don't know where it came from, but
Hmm.
it was tough. And this year has been getting out of that, and so it's kind of funny to be in the middle of this and to be able to say, I got myself, I got myself, or I am out of that depression. I'm doing a lot better. I'm getting a lot more work done and whatnot, and kind of getting back into things. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that at the end of last year, I was contacted um, by a good buddy, Eric Cockrell, and he said, "Hey, man, I got something going on. I really like you to be a part of it." The year before, we had talked about doing a book series together for NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month.
Right.
Have you heard of NaNoWriMo?
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Okay. So we were both gonna do a book in this series that he had kind of created, and it didn't end up working out. And so he came to me again this time, and I was like, "Hey, man, I like the story, I like the idea, but I don't think that NaNoWriMo is the way we're gonna do it. Like he has a full time job, and I have a lot of editing and stuff, and I said, I don't know that that's the way that story is going to come out." And he's like, "I think you're right." And so we started talking about it, and we thought, you know what? What if we started doing it chapter by chapter? And I was like, okay, that's neat. And so we started down that rabbit hole, and then we thought, what if we turn it into an audio book? And then it became an audio drama. And so now what we have is we have this cool little project called Essence House, and it came out January 1st of this year, and every other week we would drop an episode. And so it's a time traveling family drama, and yeah, and I'm really happy with it. It's really good. We finished season one. We got 10 episodes down for season one. They're 20-minute episodes a piece, and we're starting episode two. It drops next week. It drops on the 15th of August. And just very excited about that, having a good time with that. And the idea is that when this season ends, it's going to have a pretty hard ending, and that will give us a fully functional novel.
Right.
So it's kind of neat that we planned it all out, we worked it all out, we had it all outlined, and now we're doing it, so we're writing it sort of in a TV format. And so we don't have the last episode written out, but we have it outlined. We know where we're going, And so we always try to have a couple episodes already sort of in the can and ready to go. But we're writing our way up there, and it's really neat to feel like you're making, like, it's almost like a television show. So
Right.
we'll get together, we'll have these little writers room things, and we'll talk, okay, so now that we've done all this, what does the ending look like? And you can feel everything kind of fleshing together. And it was a very, very interesting project. Even like when we were working on watching season one coalesce and come together, and then seeing season two start to figure out while we're still on season one. It was very neat. I've never done anything like that before. So this has been amazing. And the idea that when it's done, I'll finally have a novel, because it's funny, the stigma between being a comic book writer and being an author.
Right.
And I don't necessarily adhere to that. If someone tells me, "Hey, I'm a comic book writer," I'm like, "Oh, that's fabulous. Like, me too, and I think that's terrific and that's great." And if they were to say I write novels, I'd say, it'd be the same level of excitement and response. But I remember same buddy, Eric, he'd been putting out comics and publishing comics for years, and his family was like, "Oh, that's neat, that's so cool, blah blah blah," and they were always very supportive. And then when he told them he had a novel that was coming out, they were just blown away. "Oh my gosh, you have a novel? That's so amazing. We have to make sure we get one." It's like, what? What? What is up with that? And it was like he had reached this new pinnacle. And it's like, nah, it's the same writer, it's the same guy. He's writing a lot of the same stuff, but because it's in novel format, suddenly it's a real thing. And that was just so weird to me. Um, for me, getting it done, the reason why I want the novel done, it's nothing like that at all. It's just that I don't feel like a comic writer gets to use the word author, because author's not quite what we are. So
Right.
I want to write the novel just so so I could be like, I'm an author. Oh, okay, cool. And it's just one more title you get to throw in your name. And in the comics world, once you've got those titles, that's it, right? Like, there's not an awful lot more to get. Maybe one day you could be publisher or whatever, but you know, you tend to kind of wear the titles you have, and so getting new ones, it's always nice. So author will be a
Yeah.
nice one to be able to wear.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see the difference because you could write a comic and it could be mostly art with some words.
Yeah.
That's not really like something that's intense. With writing a novel, you're writing thousands and thousands and thousands of words. So, to me, there is a difference.
Yeah. Oh,
It's all levels.
yeah. Yeah. And there's certainly a difference in the process and all that. And it's funny because, like, making a comic, as you know, and as we're witnessing right here, it's such a team process.
Yeah.
But really, writing a novel, it's mostly on your shoulders. Of course, you're going to have an editor and stuff, and luckily, I have a co-writer, which is kind of cool. But having it's mostly on us, and especially since we don't have an editor when we're releasing the episodes, so it's just like, it is what it is.
So, do you have an outline, or are you creating it as you go?
No, we have an outline. As an editor, I'm very big on outlines. Everything has to
Right.
be outlined. So I certainly do that in my own work. So I'm usually the guy, and he was good about it too. But I always had my notebook out, and I'm like, okay, what do we, what are our pillars, our main story beats? What are we working towards this episode? Even some episodes, he, like, say he's writing it and I'm writing the next one. So I'm like, okay, what are you, where is yours ending? So I know where mine starts, and what I'm moving into. And so that's, man, I honestly, it's an awful lot of fun. We're having a good time with that. Um, I've had a lot of people say to me when I'm talking about outlines, they go, I like to improvise. And I'm like, yeah, then improvise. That's fine. They're like, well, you can't do that with an outline. Well, then you've never used an outline. Because an outline, you're it's not you're not writing down every bloody thing. You're writing
Yeah.
down the main points. But it leaves you so much space to play with. And I mean, I know that there was one time Eric was working on an episode, and he said, "Hey, I just wrote something really major in," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "It's because I knew if I pitched it to you, it would get shut down. Like I couldn't pitch it well, but I know that I can write it well." I'm like, "Okay, well, I mean, let's be honest. If it sucks, I'm still gonna have to say it, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I don't think it does." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So he did it. It happened. I read it and I was like, "Oh, you're right, man. If you had pitched that, that would have been shot down." But that's really cool element, and so it was really neat. And so we kind of have this like, it, we love to screw with the other guy and just kind of add new things and really play with it. It it's certainly created like a really interesting dynamic because it's kind of warping the story and making it bigger than either of us had seen in our heads. And I just, man, it's been a really, really fun journey. I'm having a really good time with it. And I think a lot of that helped to kind of get me out of my funk and get me moving forward.
Yeah, collaboration is good for that. Like,
Yeah.
when you run out of ideas or you just like, I got nothing in me today, the other guy could pick up your slack or push you or,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so now, things are going pretty good. Belial 2 is coming out in October. Very excited about that. I think it's gonna be wonderful. I'm so excited. The whole team is really bringing it together. The next Welcome to the Void, we were very slowed down, but it looks like we're going to be able to bring that out early next year. And then there's just been a ton of editing work. Um, I just had two projects successfully kickstarted that I edited, and I've got more coming down, and I have a couple anthologies that I've got pieces in. So this is going to be a big year, I think, and it already has been in a lot of ways.
cool. Well, at least something good comes out of
Yeah,
it.
right. Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, I've been thinking like, I it's too many things I want to do, which is hence the title. I want it all. But like one of the things I want to do is not too different than what you guys are doing. I mean, I want to do a comic, but I want to do it as like maybe 8-page segments, and sort of do a comic book serial online. Um, and uh, I don't I don't envision having an outline for it. We'll see how it develops, but I sort of came up with this character in my mind and thought, well, I could do sort of the monster of the week, in 8-page segments, and it could be, I could just grow it naturally, and see where it takes me, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, and I thought that would be a lot of fun. And plus, I'm looking into ways of making, better money on the side. It's like I could do 8-page segments, whether it takes me a week or a couple weeks or whatever. I'll throw one up online and do it via what is it, Gumroad, and have it as a digital download. And
yeah.
it's like, I can make some decent money doing that. Maybe not even charge too much, um, and get people invested and then have eventually a printed version.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned 8-page pieces. One of the newer comic companies that's coming up, they're called Terraform Comics, and
Okay.
they have this thing that they're doing. They're called 3 3s and 3 4s. And so what happens is that depending on whether you have a 24-page book or a 32-page book, um, because they want to show off the new stuff that they're doing and get people excited about new titles, they're releasing, I think it's quarterly, but I don't know how often it is. But they'll release a book, and inside that book will have um, 3 different stories, all 8 pages apiece, that are different books that they're trying to showcase. And so they'll keep releasing those, and that means that as a creator, all you need to do is pay for 8 pages at a time, and that allows you to more slowly get a comic out, and it also opens you up to their audience, and their audience gets to see those 8 pages, see what's going on, and get excited by it. And then by the time you're done your 24 or 32 pages, you've completely finished your book. You have a book set up and done, and now we know what the audience looks like, how they feel about it, and you can move forward with it and do something with it.
Yeah. You know, it's like I've been around forever and I've seen so many variations on a theme. It's like, it's like there used to be more of a format, and a regular comic was 22 pages and
Yeah.
came out monthly, came out bi-monthly sometimes. But everybody always tried experimentation and like ash cans and what can we do to promote our other books, um and now it's completely open. It's like is all types of creators doing all different formats. um and I plan to do, like, retro is the beginning of something. Retro is the first hero of 7 that I'll be doing, and then I'll be doing a team book as well. Um,
Cool.
so it's very ambitious, and I got other artists uh, that are going to be working with me, and um, but I still want to do other things. I still want to do so many other things, and I've been a part of an anthology not too long ago, and I am going to be part of another one coming up, which I'll be starting on that story this month. As I slowly turn from just an anchor to writing and penciling other works, I want to do a lot more penciling, and without the sort of pressure of um, it having to be like the most best thing out there.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought of doing a comic book serial where I can just sort of knock out a batch of pages, where I won't stress about it being tight pencils and then tight inks, and it's like I could
Yeah.
just free form it, and this is what this particular project calls for. And yeah, so I mean that's why I love comics. It's like it's completely open out there, and you can do what you need to do on different projects, um it's also where you are creatively, and what you need. you know
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's totally true, man. And Monster of the Week is a really cool choice. Like if I was in a similar situation, Monster of the Week or Detective Noir would be probably my picks because they're nice, they're ink heavy, they're dark. They also are very good, like with kind of that scratchy, irregular art. Not having to worry about being perfect and whatnot. So that's definitely the line I would take.
Mm. Well, it's funny because the anthology I'm going to be part of. It's nine. What is it? 9-volt anthology. I'm not sure if it has a title, but it's Pulp Fiction kind of stories. So
Nice.
I have a detective story for that I want to do.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like I thought, okay, I want to do something slightly different. So it's going to be a retired detective shortly after his wife passes away, and he, researches her past essentially,
Yeah.
and discovers things.
That's cool.
And that, yeah, it's not an R-rated book. I think that like maybe PG, maybe more public oriented than that. But so it's not going to be she slept with everyone. Yeah. But it'll be something fun. It'll be something fun.
That sounds cool, man. That does.
Yeah, yeah. But it's cool that like you want to write novels. I mean, way back when I was in school, um, I was into comics when I was young, and I read a bunch of stuff that wasn't school oriented, like stuff you had to read in school. But because I got it, I don't know, like I got a bunch of Hardy Boy books from my parents, so I didn't, even though I read this stuff, I didn't consider that me going out and finding something and reading it. Like
Yeah.
the very first novel I read was The Shining. That was
Oh.
on my own, and that was because my brother had a copy of the paperback, and it was one I don't see anywhere else, but it had a silver foil cover, and it was shiny. It was like, and I was like, oh, that's a cool cover, and I've heard of Stephen King. I want to read this, so I swiped it from him, and and then read it. And then I got into reading all sorts of things. I've read a lot of horror, even though I wasn't necessarily a horror fan. Read a lot of horror authors, mostly Stephen King, mostly Clive Barker. But I did get into a range of sci-fi authors and just random stuff as well. Where am I going with this? Oh, so in college, I always fantasized about the day when I would sit down and write a novel. And in college, I started writing a novel, and I wrote, I don't know, a couple of thousand pages, but I ran into the stupid thing of, I wrote the first 3 chapters and then added to the first 3 chapters and added and added and added. So it's like, yeah, an outline would have really helped me back then.
No, it's so true. And I'll tell people all the time, oh, yeah, so I'm going to go back and don't go back. Keep going forward. Well, I know,
Yeah.
but make a note of it and move forward. Do not go back. And it's just because if you keep fiddling with that stuff, you will, and you won't finish it. And so, you just need to almost like, you want your outline, you want that done, but you almost need to stream of conscience the whole book and just
Yeah.
get it all out there, and then you can go back, because you might even find that those cool ideas that you add later on, they don't work with the other stuff that comes with it. So just write those notes down. If they work, they'll get used, don't worry. You don't want to forget about them, but you certainly don't want to keep going back. It's just going to slow you down from your forward momentum, and forward momentum is really what makes us feel like the job's going to get done, and the more you feel that, the more likely it is actually going to get finished.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it wasn't a waste of my time. It was definitely a learning curve. And even though I sort of ditched it, I was happy for the experience of it all. And definitely like what you said is like you just need to write forward. You just need to write it out. Great or sucks or whatever. You just need to finish it. Do it and finish it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, because the first draft is a first draft, and there's reasons they call it that. It's like if you write it all out, then you have something to work with that you can make better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that when I was in college.
Yeah, and I mean, who does, right? Like that's literally the time when we should be learning and finding stuff out. So yeah, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So we have Calico Black Belt, otherwise known as Russ Leach, joining us.
Cool.
Welcome, welcome. He says, "Hey guys, sorry a bit late. We'll have to pick up the replay."
Oh, that's okay.
And
You're not the only one who's late, buddy.
yeah, he says, "Great and nice, Chuck."
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
no,
more people watch this after the fact, so don't feel bad.
yeah, I actually find that that's usually the case with these sorts of things when they go live. And it's nice to be able to have that option. I
Yeah.
know even my wife, she has certain shows because she's getting into the comic book world as well, and so she has a couple comic book shows that she really enjoys watching, and she'll often try to watch them live and then catch herself pausing and going off to do something and then coming back and even though it's still live, watching it late and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, you try. It doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah. So what's your wife gonna be doing?
She has a book called Viscerian Tales, Marauders Masquerade, and it's based off of when we met. We met online in 1999 and got together and married very quickly. But when we met, we actually met on an online play-by-post role-playing game.
Right.
And so we met as writers, creating characters and helping create worlds and whatnot. And when we got together, we then made our own, and that world lived on for about 10 years. And people really loved it. We had a really good thing going on, but we never we never found any way to capitalize on it. And so there was money sunk into it. We were never able to really find anything to do with it besides what it was. And so the idea always was we were going to try to do novels and whatnot. And we've tried to work on some novels, and we got pretty far. And the last one got into like 18 or 19 chapters, and then we realized, ooh, man, maybe this isn't quite going where we want it to. So um, I pitched her the idea, and I said, hey, babe, like, have you thought about making a comic? She's like, well, I've never written a comic. And I said, well, but you're a writer. Like, you can be taught to make a comic,
Yeah.
but you still have the talent to write, so that doesn't change anything. She was like, okay, let me see. And so she wrote, and she came up with a really cool idea. She actually worked on a couple things, and then after sort of playing with the style and all that kind of stuff, she finally made the comic. And she has 2 issues done. She's working like 2 issues written and edited and done. She's working on the final issue because it's going to be a 3-issue mini, and it's based on her character that sort of the origins of her character that she played in the world. And it's basically about a young woman whose greatest dream is to become a rogue. And so it's her turning from farm girl to rogue and watching her life and how that goes. And so it's a really cool story. It's really fun. A lot of twists and turns because it's a thief story. That's how it's going to go. And yeah, man, it's coming together really good. We're just we're getting some artist stuff dealt with right now, and then she's already got like a cover, and I actually got her a variant cover for Christmas, so she got to open that up, and she was all surprised, which was pretty cool. Yeah, yeah, no, she was super stoked because that was one of the things where, like, okay, so I mean, you should always pick your own covers and you should be the person behind them and what they look like. But I knew that, it, for a lot of comic creators, if we don't see that first piece of art, if we don't aren't able to really visualize it and see it, there's a good chance it'll never happen. And I really wanted it to happen to her. She's
Right.
a fantastic writer. I respect the hell out of her work, and I mean, let's be honest, she's my wife. I friggin' love her. And so I found a buddy who does really great fantasy, and it almost looks like a painting the way he does it digitally. And I was like, he's a great price. I won't have to kill myself and pay too much because Christmas is difficult. But I got that together, and she opened it, and she was just blown away and loved it. And so now she has this really great piece, and she has something to show off. And I feel like that really kind of pushed her forward. So even for yourselves, people, if you're working on something and you're really you're in a rut and you're not sure if you're going to do it, buy some art. Like, pick up an artist and get them to do some concept work, because concept work can be fairly cheap
Right.
in comparison to like covers and stuff. So yeah, man, doing something like that I think would work and help out an awful lot. And it did with her. She's excited, even with issues with her artist. She's still excited to get it moving forward and make it happen. So yeah, man, I think it's going to be really cool.
You're totally right. Like, forward momentum is everything. Like, I know I've tried previously to do web comics and just stop because it's like, I don't know if anybody's interested. Well, if you don't put anything out, nobody's gonna be interested.
Yeah.
you if nothing develops, what do they got to look at?
Yeah, no, it's so true. It reminds me of a Rush lyric that says, "If you choose not to decide, you still made a choice." And yeah, like, if you do
Yep.
nothing, you've done nothing. Like, and one thing I hear repeatedly is that one of the most important things in comics is not to make good comics. It's to get comics out and finished. And the
Right.
reason for that is that at least people know that you get the job done and you do it. And that is a starting point.
Yeah.
And from there, you can keep making comics and learn from those failures and fail hopefully a whole lot less. So I
Right.
would tell anyone who's sitting going, I don't know if this is good enough. No, it doesn't have to be good enough. It just has to be done. I know that we all want to come out with that one thing that blows everyone's minds the first time, but it rarely comes like that. So what I would say is, if you have this magnum opus in your head that you want to write, don't make that your first piece. You
Yeah.
make your mistakes. Pick up some smaller stories. Have some fun with some little things. Get your technique down. Really fun, because I mean, even in writing, the greatest writers um, can craft this absolutely amazing piece, but if they don't know how to work with an artist, they don't know how to set up a comic, they don't know how to pace a comic, then that won't matter. And that's something I've had to talk to people an awful lot about is, hey man, that stuff really matters. And they're like, well, yeah, but if you make a good piece, the pacing doesn't matter. And I'm like, that's incorrect. That's not right at all. You can actually have a piece that's not that great, but it ends up being a lot better because at least it's paced well. And I mean,
Yeah.
those page turns and all that kind of stuff, that stuff is so important. And so I like to tell people to imagine it like a TV show. Your page turns are commercials. So when you end on a commercial break, it's always something that makes you go, "Oh man, I need to be willing to sit through 3 minutes of drivel so that I can come back and see what's going to happen next." And so
Yeah.
we try to build our page turns like that. Obviously, not everyone's going to be like that, but if you get enough of them like that, it really keeps the pace going. Because the two worst things you can do when making a comic is A, make someone feel like they have to go back and read again right away before moving forward. You certainly want someone to reread it, but when they're done. But if they don't fully
Yeah.
understand what's happening and they have to go back up the page, like maybe your panel layout's weird or something like that, that's not good. So it should be obvious where the eye is moving and where everything's going. That's a big deal. And then the other thing is those page turns. You should just feel like you can just keep going and keep going and keep going and be excited to move forward onto the next page. So any chance to just get someone through the book and really excited, take it, because from there they're going to go back and they're going to want to see all those little nuances and those special things that you may have had hidden. Like they might be going through and they go, "Hey, I think there was something alluded to back on page 2. I'm going to keep reading, but I got to remember to go back to that and check it out." So that stuff is really cool and good to have. You'd rather they actually finished it first before having to go back, or else they might put it down. And for me, I don't want anyone to put it down before it's done.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, it is also Easter eggs, little hints at stuff that maybe you won't get to until a couple of issues down the line, and you can go back to the beginning of the series and say, "Oh man, it was here all the time."
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So we have somebody else in the chat. Ted Davies Artistry.
Oh,
Welcome.
dude. He's a client of mine, really good guy. He's got a great series called Retrieve that's happening. And I've been summoned to come on and help with that one. Beautiful work. Yeah, it's basically all about the idea that the genetic markers within people. Thank you, Ted. I appreciate that. The genetic markers within people. There's as someone dies, their marker can move on to new people. Very much like oh my gosh, not reincarnation. And so they end up finding a way to find these markers so that you can bring up war criminals and stuff, and you can effectively summon them in that new host and then put them up for trial and hopefully take them out of the running to be reincarnated again. And so it's a very interesting idea, and it's very philosophical, because the idea is, should you, like, if is this something that if we did have the power to do, should we even do it? And really cool story, very heady. I'm having a great time with it.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So what else have you been working on? Got your fingerprints on.
Yeah. Okay, so actually I have one that's I'm just trying to get off my desk right now. They're going to Kickstarter, I believe, in October as well, and that's Joseph Dewis's Crusade of Dracula, which is it's funny. It's Dracula, so you think, oh, I've heard pretty much every Dracula story, but the really amazing thing about Joseph is he has this amazing obsession with history. And so this is effectively the most historically accurate Dracula piece I have ever heard of. And what's insane is that as I'm editing, I'm going through, I was like, oh, this is really cool. What if we punched it up with this? And he was like, well, we can't punch it up with that because that didn't happen. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, this actually happened. This is the actual history of Vlad Tepes Dracul. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's really cool. All right, well, stick with the history then. Like let's keep doing that. And so it's really neat because you look back at his childhood and becoming an adult and whatnot, and into the man that would become Vlad Dracul the third. And his story is so interesting, and then it jumps between that and this really interesting story that's happening in the early 1900s, shortly, I think, after or during World War One. And it's just really neat to that juxtaposition and going back and forth between those two stories and seeing everything kind of come together. And it's a three-parter, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's something. It's funny. He does an awful lot of like short stories and whatnot, and then one shots. And so for him to build something like this, it's so out of character. So I think that's kind of why he brought me in. But it's really coming together really well. You're very welcome, Ted. You're very welcome. It's coming together really well. It's looking really cool. And again, if you haven't done the research, you've never seen Dracula like this. And really knowing the story behind him and behind what at least gave us the modern day take on Dracula is just amazing. And I'm having a blast. I love learning the history. I love doing all that kind of stuff. And he, like I said, he has a really great way of history. Like he made a comic that was based in, I think, like 1895 or something. But what
Right.
was amazing about it is that he actually made it like a comic from 1895 would look. So everything looked like it was stamped on there, and all the panels are numbered all the way through. And he had it lettered like it would have looked at that time and whatnot. And it was really interesting. And so just by reading it and experiencing it, you were getting this feel of a history of comics without him having to tell you what it was. You just got to experience what a comic from 1895 would look like. And that was just absolutely brilliant.
Well, that's cool. I imagine it would look like woodcuts.
I mean, it's on paper, so,
Yeah.
but the way the panels were, yeah, like they certainly didn't have the dynamic panel layouts that we do now. But it like I said, it was all numbered, and it was a really great story too, really creepy. He does horror very well, and that tends to be his thing. And so it was very cool in that regard, and I think he did a really good job. So that's another one I'm working on. And then one more thing I'm super excited about is not that there's not a lot. Um, also in September or October, there's a bunch of us led by Travis Gibb, who has a anthology he's created called Cthulhu Invades Oz. And it's really neat because at the heart of it, it's kind of a simple idea. Like, oh, if Cthulhu invaded Oz, what would it look like? You're like, oh, that's neat. That's two properties. They're public domain. Anyone can touch them. But instead of just allowing all of us to go in there and play and do little short stories, he said, no, this is a linear story. It has a plot. This is how it's going to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to take little photos of the of moments in time throughout this war of Cthulhu invading Oz, and what happens in these moments for a lot of the characters that go through. So you get stories. I was lucky. I got to get the Scarecrow, but like you get a Scarecrow story, and I actually have two in there, one early on and then one later on, and we get to see how Scarecrow deals with the invasion, how the Tin Man, Toto, some of the different witches that are still alive, and even some of the characters, because I didn't realize there was like 8 novels done in the world of Oz. So a lot of people had fun going and getting some of those other characters that people didn't necessarily play with as often, and bringing them in, and super cool, and so many amazing talented people working on that. I think that's going to be a beautiful book, and I think we're all like, anthologies are fun, and I like them, and I don't mind putting a story in, but you don't become as excited and kind of all in as I think this crew has, just because what we're building is so much more than just our own little short stories. And
Right.
so I think that's going to be really cool. I'm super excited about it. It's funny because an anthology of that size and a book of that size requires a fair amount of funding. And so having a conversation with Travis, he was like, I'm worried about hitting that goal. And I was like, it's funny. It's a big goal. I think it's like 8 to 10K, somewhere in there. And I said, you know what? It's funny. I would agree with you. That's a big number. And that's something that, obviously some of the people in there have hit, but a lot of us regular guys, usually that's not so much. But I'm super confident. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. I said, with the team you've got behind you and the excitement that everyone is feeling for the project and everything, and the quality of pieces that are coming out, I don't think you have an issue at all. He was like, oh,
Right.
that makes me feel a lot better. And I'm like, yeah, no, dude, like I understand, like he feels like all of that is kind of on his shoulders because he's the main dude behind it. But I don't
Right.
think he quite understands how excited and just amped up the rest of us are to make it happen and show it off and get it out into the world. Like I know that um, we obviously with a goal like that you only get so many copies, but I'm already talking to him about, okay, so how would I reorder new copies? And he's like, man, we're not even there yet. I'm like, I want to know that it's an option. And he's like, okay, why? And I'm like, because I'm gonna sell out. Like it's not an issue. I'm gonna sell out of my copies, and I'm gonna want more. And he's like, okay, cool. Well then, I'll make sure that that's all handled. And I'm like, okay, yeah, because I really do just feel that confidently about this project. It just has such great wide mass appeal, and so I think it's really going to hit well, and it's going to be a really cool project.
Excellent. But let me mention, I've had Travis Gibb on my channel previously, and I do plan to have him on again. He's on my short list. It seems like lately everybody wants to come on, so it's a growing list, which is great. I love freaking talking to different creators and whatnot. Second thing I'll mention is, I've done a little bit of crowdfunding, and I know next time I do it, I'll be a little better. It's something. It's a learning curve.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I truly believe that more of us indie creators should be shooting for those higher numbers, because it's ridiculous that only a small group of people out there are able to get phenomenally huge numbers. I
Yeah,
think more of us should be encouraging others and sharing and supporting, um, because it's really just a matter of how I look at it. Just like our audiences are not huge, so in a matter of getting eyes on the different projects, and I mean that's what I've been doing my whole career is supporting independent creators and helping them give voice to their projects and getting them out there. I know this guy I'm going to mention is a big name and he's been in the industry for years. He's worked at the Image. But Dan Fraga, with his newest project, which was, like him returning to an old project, Black Flag, has passed 175,000.
Wow.
And if only we could do that, what would we be capable of?
Right. Yeah, and I mean it's so true. It's funny. I have to keep telling people, you're not competing with the other guys. Like I have, I almost said the word client, and in this case, it's a dirty word. This is a very good friend, one of my best friends, and he's excited. He wants to make a comic, and he's been wanting to do it for a long time. And he finally has the script down, and he's looking for an artist and stuff. And so we were talking last night, and he was telling me kind of his timeline and everything. And I said, it sounds like you're probably going to be shooting for around the same timeline as Welcome to the Void next year. And he said, yeah, that sounds about right. And I said, it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to run at the same time. And he said, well, is that a good idea? I said, yeah, absolutely it is. I said, you and I aren't in competition. We're not. And he said, well, no, you've been doing this longer. I was like, no, that's not it, dude. Like, yes, that makes sense. But no, we're not in competition, because what a lot of people forget is no one buys one book. No one has that brand loyalty where they only buy one book or one writer or artist or whomever, and that's it.
Right.
It doesn't happen like that. People want good books. So I can't tell you how often I've been at shows and stuff, and I'm showing off some of my stuff, and they're like, this isn't my kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, what do you like? What kind of stories do you like? And they might tell me, like, I like the gory horror. And I'm like, oh, okay. If you go down here about 5 booths and then take a left, there's a dude, his name is Blah, and that is his stuff. And he will gore you up and you'll love it. And they're like, why are you sending me somewhere else? And I'm like, because you're not going to find what you're looking for here. But that doesn't mean I can't get you some good comics. So
Right.
if you want some good comics, go to that guy. And like, I was never going to make that sale. I don't have gory horror. I don't make that. And
Right.
so why am I going to try to turn them into someone who would enjoy what I write, when instead I could make him a sale, and then he sees that and he goes, oh, cool. Chuck's a good dude. Maybe next time someone's walking by and they want some urban fantasy, I'll send them off to him, And so when we start to create these things, when we start to go, what my buddy is doing is very different than what I'm doing. So we can absolutely, send people to his book and my book, or they could back both, like there's a lot of options there. So yeah, man, it's completely possible and doable. And there's no reason why we need to fret and worry about all of these this competition and stuff, which just really isn't a thing. If you're trying to work in the bigs, there's only so many slots. There's only so many Spider-Man books and stuff, and so you might not be the writer of Spider-Man that month, but that doesn't mean that the stuff that you're working on won't happen. Yeah. And so, yeah, man, it's just we're not in competition. Stop seeing it that way.
Yeah. So Ted says, Peter, that's the only way. Promote us, and in return, we all succeed. Then Russ follows up. It's important to encourage and shout out other people's projects, but also to reach out to other fandom and groups. Don't just keep it into comics. Look for sci-fi, horror, fantasy groups. And he goes,
and that's so true.
Yeah, Chuck is nailing it there. There's a book for everyone. And
thank you.
Says good morning, Black.
Yeah, and I mean it's yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I
you
was
go.
just gonna say it's true, man. Like it just, yeah. I mean, that just isn't the way, and I think we have to stop hoarding fans and start creating fans of just comics in general. And the thing about it is that you have to have there has to be a little bit of confidence in you to do something like that, but you have to be confident that what you do is good and people will enjoy it, and then you can just kind of go, cool, if you like this kind of stuff, come on over here. If you don't, I know a lot of other talented people, and hopefully if they're willing to reciprocate and make that happen, the cream rises to the top. And so we can just keep kind of pushing good comics and push people towards comics that we think they're going to enjoy. And that's how you also create a fandom. That's how you create comic fans. And I would say one of the things that feels like it's sorely missing right now is comic book fans. And a lot of the comic fans that I'm missing are also creators. And
Mm,
you know it. We don't have a lot of money to buy comics because we're making them.
yeah.
So
Ye-
yeah, you've gotta help build them, the fandom.
Yeah. I actually started out this year because I've supported people's comics and I usually run into a trap. It's like you can't just pledge to one Kickstarter because then there's 3 or 4 more following it that, oh, I want that one too. Oh, I want that. And usually it's like, okay, I just pledged to a bunch and now I'm utterly broke. So I started out this year with the best intentions of not pledging to anybody, but not because I don't want to, but because it's like, okay, I got to get my money under control again.
Yep.
Um, I'll share ones that interest me, but I'll keep it to that. Be disciplined and you
Yeah.
know. Uh, but eventually, I did support a bunch of them, and I already received a bunch. Um, and it's like, man, I'm so busy, I don't even have time to read them.
Oh yeah. No, I feel you there. That's actually why I created the review channel, so that I would make time to read comics and talk about them and show them off.
There you go. What's the channel's name?
Chuck's Raw Reviews.
Okay, I
Yeah.
think I'm subscribed to that.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I've got a great number of subscribers when I know who is subscribed and who isn't.
I guess. Well, make sure you send me a bunch of links after the show.
Yeah.
Make sure people get on to what you're up to for sure. But yeah, it's like I totally believe a lot of independent creators can be doing a lot better. And it's about, I don't know if you know Twitch at all. But there's something about Twitch that's really interesting that people can do there. So like, you can live stream on YouTube and I guess in a way you can do it. But on Twitch, what you could do is people have their live streams and they're going for however long, an hour or whatever. Then at the end, they can go scan other channels and actually invite everybody that's in their chat to another channel after their
Oh.
stream. And that's something that you can sort of fake it on YouTube, but there's a direct, like, everybody that's in that chat all of a sudden appears on this other channel, and it's I forget what it's called. I don't know, like a horde shows up on the other channel. It's like, oh, where did all these people come from? Oh, we were just watching this other person's stream, and now we're watching yours.
That's pretty great. That's like it's a redirect, really.
Yeah.
I think that's a really
You
neat
know,
idea. I like that an awful lot, and that's a great way of
yeah.
supporting other people. What's up, buddy? Um,
Um,
so yeah, that's cool.
yeah, I'm not sure how long they've been doing it or capable of doing it. But I'm not sure why YouTube doesn't share like that sort of option. But oh, puppy.
Yeah, he's really excited all of a sudden. He doesn't usually come and hang out with me, but all of a sudden he's just like, no, you and me, we're doing this right now, aren't we? We're doing this right now.
He's just excited about retro.
I
I'm
think
gonna
that's what
get
it
you.
is.
Yeah, I'm gonna get your issue to you. Don't worry, buddy.
Well, and I did pledge for one, so I'm super excited. I love being able to actually watch it come together. I mean, I've worked with inkers obviously, and I see the stuff, the work come together. Sean Barber is my go-to guy. He and I are super tight and whatnot, and I see a sketch page and then an ink page. But watching it come together and literally seeing the lines is a very cool experience. I like seeing that.
Thanks. I gotta get him on the channel too.
Yeah,
If
such
he
a good dude.
got a good setup and get him on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and he's my co-creator for Belial, so he was the guy who it was his story idea, and he came to me and said, "Hey, man, I've got this story idea, but I'm not a writer." I was like, "Okay, cool." And so he brought the idea of Belial to me, who is a character from I believe Dante's Inferno, and he's like the original creator of Hell. And I was like, all right, neat. That's a cool idea. And we went through it, and the idea was he's the original creator of Hell, and he wants to take it back from Lucifer. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I like that idea. And then as I got further into it, I went, you know what? Like all these Hell books feel the same. They're all dripping in evil and blood, and they're trying to kind of out gore and out evil each other. And I was like, I don't want to get in that competition. That's just I'm not that guy. First off, I'm not someone who wants to write the most evil thing he can find. I wanna have fun with evil. I want to do something weird. And so I, without talking to him, turned it into a comedy. And so I started dropping all these jokes and really made it comedic. And he was like, he read it and he was like, holy crap, this is really fresh. And I was like, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was going for. And he's like, no, this is not what I was expecting at all. And I was like, well, are you good? Like, do you like this? And he was like, yeah. And so he's really embraced that. And so now, like, even on our Belial Facebook channel, he drops all these super dark, funny memes that are all sort of devil and hell inspired and whatnot. And so that kind of keeps things going and keeps people laughing and thinking about the brand and stuff. And it's been really neat. And I love having him on the project. He's just a great dude, and he's super supportive. So that's been a really good kind of marriage for the two of us. We've worked on a couple projects, and we always recommend the other guy too. So there's even books where randomly I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working on this book," and he's like, "Wait, you're working on that book?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going over the script right now." And he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm set up to do sketches, or I'm set up to do inks, so you got to get that stuff done so I can start working." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." We're on another one together. That's cool. So yeah, man, it's been a really neat ride. And
For those watching that maybe don't know, that book is there's a picture of it on the cover of this episode.
yeah, you guys have worked together, haven't you?
Um, uh, well,
Actually, probably not as inkers.
probably not. Um,
Yeah,
we were going to work on the same project at one point, but it fell through for both of us.
yeah,
But I know him. I know of him and his work, and
yeah.
Um, one thing I wanted to mention. Let's see if I didn't forget it again. Oh, back in the day when I was working at Marvel in DC and work was starting to dry up, um, I, you know, I was living in Brooklyn and both companies were in Manhattan. So I travel in the city and go all the time and say, hey, you got anything now? You got anything now? Eventually, they started telling me, you know, just create your own project, and if it's okayed, then you have work. And which is smart advice. It didn't work out, with Marvel and DC. But
Yeah.
uh, but the great thing about independent comics is that if you want work and you don't currently have work, just come up with an idea and put something to paper. Just do a comic and put it out there. For those that are like fence sitting or anything, you know, we all love doing, and we all would love to our project to get seen. So go out there and create something and work on it, and with other people, solo, however whatever best fits your thing, and do it and get it out there. And I welcome people on, like Ted Davies here is new to me. Like if he messages me on Facebook, I would say absolutely come on an episode and talk about what you're working on. I'm all about spreading the word of other people.
And Ted has been really super cool. He's had a lot of people on his page recently, and he's been doing interviews. And I actually got to do an interview with him, and it was really nice because when we do these interviews, like right now, you and I are talking, and we're going back and forth about what we do and how we do it and all that kind of stuff. But he actually got into the meat of who you are, and it was almost kind of like a biography of sorts. Where'd you come from, what really got you into things, all that kind of stuff. And it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It was really refreshing to not necessarily talk about the work and just talk and maybe expose people to me a little bit. And that felt really nice and open. I really appreciated being able to do that. And so that's a cool platform, and I love that he's doing that. So having that happen is super cool. And so yeah,
And
man,
so,
he's definitely someone to talk to.
yeah, and Ted, if you want to drop a link into the chat, I think I need to approve it, but I will if you do.
Let's see what I can do. Trying to track it down. Though
But
Ted, if you're there, drop your thing in there.
yeah, it might not show up because I might have to go to the page later and okay it. This
Yeah.
YouTube frowns on links or something.
I feel you.
But yeah, with crowdfunding and I know there's a lot of dark side to comics and people throwing shit around, about other creators and yada yada yada. But
Yeah.
there's always been an abundance of positivity and excitement and creativity, as far as I'm concerned, in comics. And I mean, I wouldn't be a part of it today. We left it a long time ago. I didn't get something good out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I very much agree with that. And there's a lot of super cool stuff going on and always something new to look forward to. And because there's so much stuff happening, it's easy to find things that you like. You just have to look for them.
Yeah.
So I just put up my page for my publisher, and then I also put up Ted's page for his stuff if you wanted to check that out, and then I'll put mine up there too. But yeah, man, there's just so much stuff out there, so there's no reason. Someone was talking to me. There was this conversation in one of the groups that I'm a part of, and somebody was saying, the question was, how do you feel about the big two right now? And do you read any of their stuff? If so, why? And if not, why not? And there was an awful lot of people in there who were like, no, I don't read them anymore. I'm not interested. And there was a lot of things like it's all bad writing, and it's bad this and it's bad that. And I came on and I said, you know what? Ignore those people. Seriously, ignore them. That's not true. There's an awful lot of amazing writers and creators and artists happening right now. Really, what it is that, and this is my honest belief, no character is made to exist for 60 plus years on a
Yeah.
platform where we get news stories from them every month, and sometimes several times a month, because they might be on several different titles. Having to come up with something fresh with them without detracting from who that character at their core is, it's almost impossible. And so for a lot of those characters, they're well past the point of where they could continue to be done like that. So, every once in a while, when there's this amazing story that you read about a particular character, it means that writer is really tapped into something interesting and really doing something cool. They're working within a paradigm that's so difficult. And you
Yeah.
get a lot of these people who are like, indies are so much better. Well, you know, I agree, obviously, but I I agree because our hands aren't tied. I'm not forced to try to come up with a new Batman story that hasn't happened since Batman was made in like the frickin' 30s or 40s or whatever. So I don't have to go up against 80 years of Batman stories. I can just make Belial, which is my own damn thing, and do whatever I want. It's like it's either good or it's not. And so, um, yeah, it's just that's just the way it is. And so, yeah, attacking other comic creators and what they're doing, man, that's not cool. You don't have the perspective, and the perspective is that the creators aren't the problem. The characters and what's happening is the problem. The corporations in a lot of ways are kind of the issue, because we fall in love with those characters so much that we're afraid to work on new ones and move forward. Things like Batman Beyond was a brilliant idea, because it was like, oh cool,
Yeah.
let's make a new Batman and let's move beyond this,
Mm.
and Bruce Wayne is going to be old and all that kind of stuff. That's a brilliant idea. That's a great way to go. And that's more what we should be doing. Why are we still seeing the same characters who were in their early 20s? Now they're in their late 20s or in their early 30s, and they've been around for 60 years. Like, that's just a ridiculous concept. Let's move them
Well,
along.
I think it's because the creators themselves want to be immortal. We want to live forever. We want to live as long as Peter Parker and Clark Kent are living.
Certainly
Um,
we do. That's true.
so Dee Dee, hey Dee Dee, she said interesting conversation, Peter. Um, Then we have Russ talking. Yep, that's it, Chuck. The legacy characters were meant to be pulp, and their sheen has gone. New IP, new creators, new
Yeah.
stories are what's needed.
Yeah.
Um, However, blame where blame is thus, the students want those writers to keep writing for those legacy characters because they think remaking them constantly will make money.
Well, in a sense, it does, because those corporations are still making money. So
Yeah,
it does. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't allow the current the fans who have been around for a long period of time. It doesn't keep them current. It doesn't make them want to keep current. And so, if you want to keep that audience and build, I think there needs to be some sort of evolution.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of opinions about it. Let's see. Russ also said Batman Beyond is a type example of staying true to the legacy character whilst making something new and exciting. Yeah, I love Batman Beyond, and it is a refreshing take, and they might be incorporating some of that character into the movies, perhaps, or animation. I don't know. I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll see what happens down the line. But it's like I love the Marvel characters I grew up reading and still do. I'm not interested in following what they're doing. You know, as far as picking up titles, so much more involved in the indie world of things. But yes, I mean, you know, like how could they not have top writers? How could they not have top artists working on their books still to this day, regardless of whatever you think of them in handling those characters. So like they're I'm sure they're still churning out gems. Actually, it's funny. I checked out. You know, there was all that San Diego at Home Comic-Con stuff going on. I actually checked out DC's video and then Marvel's video. I like this DC's video a lot more. I don't know. It was a lot more interesting, a lot more into a lot of various books, and had a number of a lot more creators come on and talk about things happening. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and this seems really cool, and yada yada yada. And then Marvel was like focused on maybe 2 or 3 different things. It wasn't as widespread as I thought they would do. It was like, oh, okay, you know, another big X-Men crossover. That's never happened before.
I know, right?
And something else. It was like, oh, Marvel's video is not nearly as good or exciting as I thought it would be. But I will say this: it seems like there's a hell of a lot more female writers happening now.
Which is exciting.
It's exciting. It was almost like 75% female writers and 25% male writers. I was like, oh my god, I really haven't been keeping track. I had no idea.
I'm awesome. Excited for the opportunity to, as a white guy, to be a minority and to go, okay, like what does that mean? How does that change the landscape for me? What do I have to do? You know, there's certainly a challenge involved there. Now that doesn't mean that you know, I'm just interested to see how that would do for me and everything, and how that would work out. But the more different voices and takes we can see on things, I think the more exciting everything's going to be. So yeah, I'm very excited for all that.
I mean, you know, it's true in the novel world that there's a ton more female writers out there. You know, why not be true within comics? You know. And I'll mention my last episode where I had the publisher and the editor-in-chief of a book called Noir is the New Black, which is currently on Kickstarter. It's shooting towards its goal. It hasn't reached it yet. But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that has a lot of Black creators in there, as well as some women in there. and other color creators. And it's definitely something worthwhile, and people should check out. So, if you haven't watched that video or know about that project, go check it out. Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't care who's creating. It's like
Yeah.
just do good work,
That's
and
it.
get your voice out there, and become part of the fun. That's what I say.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that, man. Just do good stuff, and people will hopefully hop on board. I know
Yeah.
I'm more likely to.
So we've been going a short while since you showed up.
Yeah.
If you want to plug your sites, it was a good time.
I actually threw some up on the chat.
Okay.
If you guys want to check, you can track me down on Facebook here, Chuck Pineau, Pineau. I love meeting new people and talking to new people. You can come track me down on Twitter at Chucky Pin. You can find Chuck Pineau on Instagram now. I'm not really heavy there because I'm a writer and that's difficult, but I tend to mostly focus on showing off a lot of the books that I picked up on Kickstarter and a lot of the stuff. But as more art comes by my desk, you guys will be seeing some stuff as we build up towards Belial and everything else that's happening right now. You could find me on Chuck's Raw Reviews on YouTube. I drop reviews on indie comics, and I tend to only review books that I like. So if you're looking for anything slanderous or anything like that, it's not really my thing. It's not really my take. And it's not that I like everything. It's that I only talk about the things I like. And I know that there's different takes on that, but for me, I don't think we need to be coming at anybody. There are reviewers out there, and that's what they do. And if that's what you do, cool. But I'm a creator. I'm not interested in coming at any of my my peers. I don't see the point. I actually find it to be counterproductive. I make comics. Why would I then come on and say, "Hey, you know what you did sucked"? Like, I feel like that's really not cool. And I would rather be told by a fan that my stuff sucked. Because then I'm like, okay, cool. This is productive. This helps me. What you didn't like, I can work on and maybe fix. But hearing it from a creator, it's just, you don't know if they're actually trying to help you or if they're just taking their hits. And so I don't do that. I just, I think we could all use some help kind of as we were talking about earlier, sharing and showing off new projects and stuff. And so that's what I do with Chuck's Raw Reviews. And then I have Essence House, which you can find on all of the major platforms on podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts, from iHeartRadio and Spotify and all that kind of stuff. So I would love for you guys to check that out. If you, it's a great little 20-minute episodes. So if you're interested in a news story, and you're going to work or you're sitting around your drawing all day, it's a nice story to have on in the background and play all the way through. So yeah, that's a lot of the stuff that I have going on. Belial is coming in October, and I think you guys are going to love that. And hopefully you're also going to see some Cthulhu invading Oz. So there's all sorts of amazing stuff happening. And yeah, man.
Excellent. As I mentioned early in the stream, before you showed up, that you're a moderator in my group, Creator Owned. For those that don't know it, the link is down below in the video description, and I'll add all of Chuck's links so you can check them out for sure. What do I gotta say? Yeah, I'll be doing another stream tomorrow. I know I have people coming on. I may choose to do solo, and we'll see. The adventure is always interesting. So thank you everybody who showed up in the chat. We had a great conversation going on there. If you're watching this afterwards, please like again. If you're not already subscribed, try and grow my channel. ever so slightly every day. And yeah, the journey continues. I'm still working on it. Did a bunch today, and
I love that
check it
hand. That's
out.
coming together really nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's always fun to do big stuff, It's like,
Yeah. You really get into that
it really,
meaty detail. I like it. It's good.
yeah, yeah. So thanks everybody. Until next time, be creative, be productive, and stay safe.